Many of you would have by now seen the recent hashtag Save Lakshadweep, which is also being backed by South Indian film industry. Recently, two members of parliament wrote to the Indian president against various measures taken by the acting administrator of Lakshadweep, Mr. Praful Khoda Patel. The claim against Mr. Praful Patel is that he would destroy unique culture and tradition of Indian Ocean group of islands, Lakshadweep. So even before we start telling you about the recent developments, let us take you to the incident which happened on March 18th. We had reported that 3 boats with 5 AK-47s and 1,000 live rounds and 300 kgs of heroin had been captured at Minikoi, an island in Lakshadweep, and this was captured by the Indian Coast Guards. By 26th of March, media houses had reported that the heroin captured was worth Rs 3,000 crores. Interestingly, a few months earlier in November 2020, Indian Coast Guard had seized another boat from Sri Lanka with a consignment of about 1,000 crores. This pretty much proves how regularly Lakshadweep Islands are being used by inimical elements. According to intelligence report from 2019, there was a boat which carried 15 ISIS terrorists, you heard that right, 15 ISIS terrorists to Sri Lanka from Lakshadweep. With a security background check of the islands done, let us move to the present Save Lakshadweep campaign. After the demise of previous administrator of Lakshadweep, Mr. Dineshwar Sharma, Praful Patel was given the charge of Lakshadweep in December 2020. There are multiple reports that suggest there is a growing consumption of drugs and alcohol among the youth of Lakshadweep. After taking responsibility as the administrator, Praful Patel had conducted 18 raids across the Union Territory of Lakshadweep to fight against the drug menace. It is said the school children and youngsters were the worst affected. Later, Gunda Act was imposed in Lakshadweep so that administration could control the smuggling and distribution of alcohol and drugs. But in this letter, by Kerala's opposition leader Vedi Sadism, one can see how facts have been twisted. The letter reads, "In the islands, there are nominal violations of rule. Gunda Act has been enacted to suppress the voice of people." Clearly, that is not the case. Then who is Mr. Vedi Sadism trying to protect? Let us not forget that Mr. Vedi Sadism belongs to Congress party, which is known to be hand in glove with anti-India forces. Recently, their toolkit to keep hospital beds and equipment during the peak of COVID-19 was leaked. In Lakshadweep's case too, there seems to be a toolkit. A well-coordinated social media campaign called Save Lakshadweep began recently. But only one glitch. They made a spelling mistake in the toolkit. Lakshadweep was misspelled as Lakshadweep. This spelling mistake can be spotted in many tweets of senior political leaders from CPIM to Congress and other IDs, which added fuel to fire. Among other reforms, the anti-CAA and NRC posters which were found at various public places in Lakshadweep were brought down. This irked the inimical elements, and they have now begun a propaganda warfare against the central government and Praful Patel. The claim by propaganda purveyors is that Mr. Patel is undermining the character of Lakshadweep, where minority community constitutes 96% of the total population. Clearly, religion is being used as a means to agitate people in Lakshadweep, just the way it was done in Kashmir. Elamaram Karim, a CPIM MP, in his letter to President says restriction on alcohol has been lifted by Mr. Patel and that this is against the religious beliefs of people of the island. What Mr. Karim refuses to acknowledge is that legalizing alcohol will bring down the smuggling of alcohol and that alcohol rules are relaxed only for tourist places in Lakshadweep. So this is a massive misinformation being propagated by the propaganda gang. Elamaram Karim will also not tell people that Lakshadweep had been asking Kerala for past 10 years to improve the basic infrastructure facilities at Bepur to help ease the movement of cargo between mainland and Lakshadweep islands. But the criminal negligence of Umman Chandi, the ex-Chief Minister of Kerala from Congress, and Pinarayi Vijayan, the current Chief Minister of Kerala from Communist Party, made the island dependent on the port at Mangaluru in Karnataka. Yet Mr. Karim has the audacity to say he speaks for the people of Lakshadweep. Propaganda purveyors also claim that schools and Anganwadis have been stopped from giving non-vegetarian food to kids, and this is to propagate Hindu agenda, beef being the bone of contention. Well, even in France, schools have stopped serving meat in order to simplify and streamline lunch breakdowns during the lockdown. Was that too a Hindu agenda? Clearly, some propaganda churners want to instill fear in the people of Lakshadweep. The truth is, Lakshadweep has become a hub for smugglers who are involved in narco-terrorism. According to reports, the fish port, which was found carrying 3,000 kgs of heroin, had begun its journey at Chabahar port in Iran and was backed by Pakistan's spy agency ISI, and the boat was headed to Sri Lanka. Apparently, this is a China-controlled drug smuggling racket, and the money from this has been used to create unrest and fund extremism in India. Result: fueling of farmer protest in India, smuggling weapons to Punjab and Jammu border. And here you can also add the Easter bombings in Sri Lanka. According to Rakesh Asthana, the Director General of NCB or the Narcotics Control Bureau, this network has Pakistani nationals based in Sri Lanka, Maldives, Middle East, East Africa to assist the kingpins in Pakistan. So you can clearly see why it works in the favor of few nations to turn Lakshadweep into another Kashmir. We also want you to hear what Mr. Abdullah Kuti has to say.
ലക്ഷദ്വീപിനെ കുറിച്ച് അവിടുത്തെ അഡ്മിനിസ്ട്രേറ്ററെ പറ്റി മോദി ഗവൺമെന്റിനെ പറ്റി വ്യാപകമായ നുണപ്രചരണങ്ങളാണ് കേരളം കേന്ദ്രീകരിച്ച് നടക്കുന്നത്. വളരെ ദുഃഖകരമാണിത്. ഈ പ്രചണ്ഡമായ പ്രചരണം കൊണ്ട് ലക്ഷദ്വീപിലെ നിഷ്കളങ്കരായ മനുഷ്യരാകെ ബേജാറിലാണ്.